Your phone is already an extension of you. You're already a cyborg. You don't even, well, most people don't realize they are already a cyborg. That phone is an extension of yourself. It's just that the data rate, the rate at which, or the communication rate between you and the cybernetic extension of yourself that is your phone and computer is slow. It's very slow. And that is like a tiny straw of information flow between your biological self and your digital self. And we need to make that tiny straw like a giant river, a huge, high bandwidth interface. You will be essentially snapshotted into a computer at any time. If your biological self dies, you could probably just upload into a new unit. Literally.
Pass that whiskey. We're getting crazy over here.
Very much. They say I'm not allowed to run. I don't know what the hell that's all about, but that's okay. He said 4 more years. You see the new hat? We have 4 more years. 2028. We have all sorts of... Well, you know what? We have 3 years and 2 months to go. And you know what that is in Trump time? 3 years and 2 months is called eternity. We have a long time. We have a long time. But under... And again, Christians, get out and vote just this time. You won't have to do it anymore. 4 more years, you know what? It'll be fixed. It'll be fine. You won't have to vote anymore, my beautiful Christians. I love you, Christians. I'm a Christian. I love you. Get out. You got to get out and vote. In 4 years, you don't have to vote again. We'll have it fixed so good you're not going to have to vote.
That if you didn't have populist nationalism stopped the managed decline of the country by the elites of the nation.
And does he need a third term in order to see that job through?
Well, he's going to get a third term. So Trump 28, Trump is going to be president in 28, and people just ought to get accommodated with that.
So what about the 22nd Amendment?
There's many different alternatives. At the appropriate time, we'll lay out what the plan is, but there's a plan, and President Trump will be the president in 28. We had longer odds in 16 and longer odds in 24 than we got in 28. And President Trump will be the president of the United States, and the country needs him to be president of the United States. We have to finish what we started. And the way we finish it through Trump, Trump is a vehicle. I know this will drive you guys crazy, but he's a vehicle of divine providence. He's an instrument. He's very imperfect. He's not churchy, not particularly religious, but he's an instrument of divine will, and you can tell this of how he's pulled this off. We need him for at least 1 more term, right? And he'll get that in 28.
I will tell you right now, as God is my witness, if we lose the midterms and we lose 2028, some in this room are going to prison, myself included.
behalf of the UAC, welcome to Mars City. This facility serves as the central hub for all scientific research, archaeological study, and military operations. Goal number one at the UAC is the safety and well-being of all employees and guests. To help achieve this goal, we ask you to follow all UAC corporate procedures at all times. This includes restricting your movement to areas for which you have clearance. Always remain alert and aware of what you and others are doing. If you notice anything out of the ordinary, or just have a simple question, find the nearest UAC security guard. They are here to help no matter how large or small the problem is. Our station on Mars provides a perfect blend of work habitats, recreational facilities, and social support structures. This ensures our goal of providing a true home-away-from-home experience for everyone. Keep this in mind as you help us pursue our groundbreaking research that is destined to transform the daily lives of everyone here and throughout the solar system. If you need more detailed assistance, please see your Human Resources Manager. If you are a guest, you may bring up any issue with your appointed UAC liaison. Thank you, and have a nice day.
You define non-human biologics, non-human intelligence. What are we actually talking about? Admiral, and we'll go down the line.
I don't think it's a stretch when you look at the diversity of life on this planet and the size of this universe to think that there would be more diverse, higher order, non-human intelligences throughout the universe. And that's probably what's visiting us.
I would take the scientific approach. The definition would be the ability to react to a stimulus in a manner that requires an intellectual thought process.
I just don't know.
I think we must be modest in our assumptions that we're looking for intelligence. That could be biological, it might not.
Non-biological, but what non-biological intelligence, what does that mean though?
Artificial intelligence, ML, machines. We assume that all intelligence would be like us, and every time we look out in the universe, we are humbled relative to what we don't know in terms of the forms of intelligence and what it may take. I can assure you I probably can't answer your question, but I think the ultimate answer is going to surprise us all.
Office. She even knows the door. Yes, she does. Oh my God. She knows the door.
I've gone to a. I do them every year.
Every year.
You want to keep going?
Are you gonna do any more this
Do you want
year?
to keep going and keep harassing me? You could have gone to a dozen town halls last year.
I asked if you're doing any more this year. It was one simple question.
Yeah.
Are you doing a town
I've
hall
already
this year?
done one. I'll do
Are
plenty
you doing
more.
any more this year? It was a simple question.
You're always invited.
Okay, sweet. Well, look
And
out
by
for
the
an
way,
actual invitation
I
for
voted
next
for
month.
gay marriage twice.
What does that have to do
so
with me?
I'm just saying, it has to everything to do with you.
You think everything about me has to do with gay marriage?
I do,
That's
absolutely.
your first stance when you
Yep.
speak with me?
Absolutely.
There's no other humane
If you want to get in my
conversation
face
you can
about
have
town
me?
halls, you should have shown
There's
up to
no
one
other
last
humane
year.
thing you can talk about me just saying, oh, I support gay marriage.
Yeah,
That's
because you're getting in my face about a town hall. You
I
could have
just
gone
asked you
last
one
year.
simple question from right
Would you
over
like
here
me?
is if you have any plans to have more town halls this year.
I have town
That
halls
was one
every year.
question.
I have over a dozen every year.
Great. That was my entire question. You didn't have to go
Yeah.
into the spiel at all.
You could have come to any of them last year.
Okay. And I'm
I had
asking you
over a
about this year, not
dozen.
2024. But
Where were you the year
right?
before that?
Okay.
Or the year before that?
It was a simple
Oh,
question. I
because
asked
you know
if
what?
have
Because you
any more that
people
you're
on the
going to
left
this year
are
or not.
crazy.
So I'm
You're
on the left.
absolutely fucking crazy.
I'm absolutely fucking
You are.
crazy.
And get out of my face.
You're insane.
Goodbye.
You're insane.
Fuck you.
You're gonna fuck me. You're
Yep.
gonna be voted
Bye.
out so fast this year. I
I'm
can't
not.
wait for you to fucking
I'm not.
go into
I
the
won by
dirt.
so much.
You're a disgrace to this state. That's what you are. You're a disgrace. I asked you a simple question, and you just to go on this tirade and tell me "fuck you."
Yeah, fuck you.
Disgusting.
Get out of my face.
Fuck you. How about
Get
that?
out of my face.
You're nasty.
Try it again. What's your
You're a
name?
nasty bitch.
What's your
You're a
name?
nasty bitch. That's
What's
my
your name?
You say fuck me?
Yep, I
That's
sure
the
did.
First thing you're saying me is fuck me for
Absolutely.
asking you a question.
Get the fuck out of my face.
Fuck you.
Now.
Fuck you.
Fuck you.
Oh, that's your-
You couldn't take me on, baby. Stay the fuck away from me.
I want to do cider hash browns, smothered cap, diced, peppered, and then I want to do a waffle with chocolate chips like the young lady at the end of the aisle. Good order. Thank you.
There is a magical operation of maximum importance. The initiation of a new aeon. When it becomes necessary to utter a word, the whole planet must be bathed in blood.
Alright, let's get the place fucking moving, my friends. One last time in Massachusetts.
Okay, and we have Mr. Ogles, who is on the way. He's going to be here any second. Is that correct? Want to check, and he'll be the last last member with questions that we have today, and then we have votes. So we want to thank you all for being here. I want to thank Mr. Garcia and folks on both sides of the aisle for being here today and being patient. We have a lot more questions, and I hope that this will open the door to more hearings in the future. I obviously would like to know how much taxpayers are spending on this. You have the right to know, but also if we're spending money on something that doesn't exist, why are we spending the money? And if it does exist, why are we hiding it from the public? And of course, our national security is a huge issue, because if there's technology that could harm us or our allies that are in the hands of our adversaries, we obviously want to stay ahead of that to the best of our ability to ensure that that technology is not in the hands of someone who could use it against us or our allies anywhere in the world. So, Mr. Ogles, you're just in time, babe. I will recognize you for 5 minutes of questioning before we head on out today. Good morning and welcome.
What an honor to be before you. The Nobel Prize. You must know I didn't do it alone. Although research is a lonely business, but I must share this with my family, my wonderful family, my wife, my son. Would you please stand? To be honored in your presence is a very humbling experience. Oh, to be in the presence of those scientific ghosts from the past. Darwin, Einstein. Trace him over there, that's right. Got a good shot there?
Yeah, recording.
You sure it's in focus?
Dad, please. I'm not a tourist.
It's important that it's recorded clearly.
You handle your worms, I'll handle the
All right.
photography.
Move the camera up, get me in a close-up.
Why?
Will you get me in a close-up? Right here. Okay, the organisms will now be given 1 cube of synthesized protein.
They don't seem too interested. What else do they eat?
Practically anything.
How about Mrs. Thompson's cat?
I don't think so. Now proceeding to the live subject. There you are. You sure you want to watch this? Man your camera. All right. Bombs away.
Bombs away. What are they?
They're very special. I call them Sand Kings. They're from very far away. I think they share a hive mind.
What's that?
Well, it means they kind of work together, but they're controlled by one individual, most likely the queen.
Like bees and ants?
Well, no, the Sand Kings. The Sand Kings are much more than bees and ants. I think they're smart. Like people. I've been testing them. I'll be right with you. Charlton has to eat your heart out. Simon Kress. I'll hold him. Nothing goes in, nothing goes out. Get that? You hungry again? Too bad. From now on, it's survival of the fittest. You only get what I give you. No more manna from heaven. Forget it. As far as the new constructions are concerned, I can only speculate as to their purpose. Either they're an extension of the Sand King's ability to build specific forms, or maybe they're a form of worship. Maybe they are an attempt at some sort of appeasement. And whether this is an indication of intelligence, I don't know. Is it to perform for me, or
This is quite the hobby you got going here, Simon.
Dave!
Got your own little slice of Mars. Sort of brings new meaning to the phrase mad scientist.
I expected you tomorrow morning.
Yeah, I got your message, and I decided to come a little early. You know I like things to add up. Now they do. These castles, do they serve a purpose?
They're used for defense. In war.
They war?
Oh, intricate battles. With a proper motivation, of course. Scarcity of food.
How many generations?
33. Did you see the carvings?
Yes. Why you?
I'm the source of life.
God.
Oh, it's all right here, Dave. What mankind has dreamt about for decades. proof of alien intelligence?
Well, I have to admit, Simon, what you have created is truly unfathomable, really. It's a shame it's gonna have to all disappear.
It is.
What's happened to you? Have you looked at yourself lately? Have you seen what you look like in the mirror? I mean, I don't know what's gonna be harder to clean up, Simon, you or this mess. Simon, with your brilliance, I mean, your genius, how could you create something so dangerous? Listen, I'll do what I can, I promise you. I'll do what I can for you to try and keep you out of jail. Okay?
Thanks, Dave.
Oh my God. Oh God.
You talking to me, Dave?
I won't say anything. I won't say anything, Simon.
You're wrong, Dave. You're gonna scream. The Nobel Prize. My feelings are indescribable. I'm so honored to be in this company, to be with you. It's the greatest moment of my life. I'm humbled by the presence of this room, and of course the ghosts of the great scientists of the past, Darwin, Einstein. Oh my God, they're all very humble men. But it's very lonely. Very lonely. No one really knows who I am. Dave. No. There is someone who could tell you who I am. My brother. But he's not here, and my father, he deserves my gratitude. He helped me.
See you later.
It is the year 2012. The world is crumbling into a new dark age. Disease and poverty run rampant in a world scourged by desolation, pollution, radiation, and despair.
But hey! Don't let that spoil your day. Take a vacation!
Are you literally dying to go on vacation? Well, now's the time to make your dream come true with a luxurious visit to one of Big Daddy's vacation wonderlands. By the sweat and blood of those zany, wacky, oppressed lower classes, Big Daddy's made his little paradises shine like gemstones amidst the teeming crud of our sad little dying world.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Mom, no, don't answer it.
Why not?
Please, please, Mom, don't.
Lisa, I am not going to shut out the rest of the world just because your father gets upset sometimes.
Good morning, ma'am. I'm from the phone company. We're checking the lines in the neighborhood today. Has your phone been out this morning?
Well, yes, in fact, it has.
Get a lot of static because of the fog. I'm terribly sorry for the inconvenience. Do you mind if I come in and check the jacks?
Yes, of course.
How long have you been awake?
What?
How long have you known? Understood?
I don't know, a week, maybe? I'm not sure. Who are you? What's going on? What happened to us?
Whenever you hear strange noises in this house, or voices calling out to you, ignore them. Pretend they don't exist, Lisa. If you should try to contact the living, or anyone else, you and your family will suffer in ways you cannot fathom.
Bye, Tina. Bye, Fingers. Oh, I have this for you. Keep it. Take care. Okay. Bye. I'll write when I get there, okay? Okay. Bye. Bye.
least it'll be quiet out here. Too quiet, probably. Had to get away, though. Get that old anxiety down. Isn't that what the doctor said? Start over? Well, here goes. Pretty lucky, I guess, falling into this. It's so amazing when I heard Gary's speech about how we trap ourselves. It took the words right out of my head. Must be fate, our meeting like that, just so irresistible.
Authority does not have to be a person or institution which says you have to do this or you are not allowed to do that. This kind of authority, which is external, may appear as or be replaced by internal authority under the name of duty, conscience, or superego. Analysis reveals that conscience rules with a harshness as great as external authorities. And furthermore, that frequently the contents of the orders issued by man's conscience are governed not by the demands of the individual self, but by social demands. The rulership of conscience can be even harsher than that of external authorities, since the individual feels its orders to be his own. And how can he rebel against himself?
What's this?
I'm staying back here. I gotta go. Remember, Janet, don't say anything about this to anyone or else I'll be in serious trouble.
With Debbie?
Yeah, and Gary if he finds out about us being down here in this whole party thing. This place is off limits. If I blow this thing, my ass will be shaked and baked by everybody.
Don't worry. I promise.
Here, you keep this. I'm gone.
Dr. Schaefer!
I tried to stop you. I tried to warn you. You ran.
No.
You must never go down there.
No, Dr. Schaefer, please. Dr. Schaefer, no.
It's dangerous.
Oh, Dr.
Never.
Schaefer, no.
It's too dangerous. It's very dangerous.
I saw the old man.
Man, what are you talking about?
You were there. I thought I was imagining it, but he was there too.
There's
Dr. Schaefer, didn't you
nobody
see him?
there.
Dr. Schaefer!
There is no thing down there. There's no thing down there. There is no man.
No, Dr. Schaefer!
It's just the beams.
No!
It's the beams. They're all rotten, crumbling. They're very dangerous. You must never go down like this. You're upset.
Dr. Schaefer,
You must rest.
I saw him.
You must go to sleep. Please. Sleep.
Well, I'm not going to any of her classes anymore. You know, I'm not the only one that hates her. Everybody hates her. We're gonna boycott the bitch.
Uh-huh. Well, I didn't know your feelings were that strong. I'm glad that you trust me enough to confide in me. I'll see what I can do. You may be right. Something should be done about it. I promise you, Debbie, I'll take care of everything.
Why aren't you in class?
Janet?
Transferred?
Yes, to another facility. You were absolutely right. I just couldn't see it. She'd be much better off in a more structured environment.
No.
No.
Oh, my God. Oh.
Janet, what is it?
Who is that?
That's my father.
Oh. I saw him.
You saw him?
Yes, I saw him. It was in a dream. He spoke to me.
You have a rich inner life. What's wrong? It's only a dream.
But Gary, it wasn't a dream. I wasn't asleep. And Gary, I didn't even know what your father looked like.
But of course you do.
No.
It's always been hanging there.
No.
Well, of course it has. You must have noticed it. Unconsciously.
I didn't see it before. I've never seen it before.
You're upset. There are no such things as ghosts. What you're seeing is some sort of paranoid delusion.
Like snow falls on the sea, like smoke that rises upon the breeze, like horns that melts before the sun. Now silence broods over Lemuria.
wanted to record my reaction to this very delayed commentary on this channel, instead of just putting some simple text over the screen as to illustrate the point and add a little context. This comes from a channel from Morocco that I'll leave in the description, and if you were aware of my other channel that's now deceased, because this partially is a continuation of something I was showing before what happened to my channel, and I publicly stated on Facebook with the announcement of that indeed that was the end of my channel anyway. There was never an agenda to necessarily close out at that point, but as the spontaneous things that happened for months up until that point, I realized that that was a good place to close out. However, this, I thought, needed a little bit more of a disclosure, because I've showed clips from this channel before on my Twitter, and I've not added context, not to add mystique to it necessarily, because this phenomenon is widespread and it's constant and it's consumed by the masses on a daily basis. Millions of views every day, I suppose, of these paranormal kind of videos, whether it's I mean, it's usually on the darker side. I was going to say whether it's seemingly wholesome or quote-unquote glitch in the matrix, you know, it's abstract, or it has these like hellish implications. It's usually on the more hellish side, to be fair. And on that channel, I decided to cut that part out, but basically the last few videos were the series called Hell's a Premonition, if you weren't privileged enough to see them, or if you feel burdened enough to have seen them, because this is just a portion of what I was showing, but this is a strong sort of smaller compilation with some stronger emphasis and things I have not shared, because what's inspired me is just some things that I was seeing recently and just how things have accelerated so fast. The disclosure is here in this channel that I have in the description. It's self-evident just from what you've seen. And though from my own experience with that channel, how I imagine most people would interpret it, even though he has mostly his own local or that side of the world's Islamic world sort of audience, from what I've seen in the comment section. I can't tell though, I don't know his analytics, but they have a pretty shallow, like him himself it seems. I don't mean to, I'm not attacking him, but I'm making a general remark given the circumstances of this. This is very extreme. And he might be a touched individual. I believe he's chosen for some reason, but I think he responds to it in a very cartoonish manner, and they play with him in a cartoonish way. So a Western audience perspective might feel a bit like they can let their guard down and eat popcorn, as I think they do with anything anyway. So the frog is adjusted to the boiling water so much. I've also done a lot of bold things just like Muskrat, I was illustrating, making some very morbid points about his idea of entering the Matrix, I guess you'll call it, taking you to quote-unquote Mars, like I was showing at Doom 3, if you catch my drift with that. I've also decided to be a lot more bold. Well, with him, I'm not going to speak for him. He's a very disturbed individual. He has bad taste in all ways. He's a worse kind of person with that kind of leverage with the monopoly money system. As he tries to keep this Wizard of Oz scheme lifting, the veil, the curtain lifting on the Wizard of Oz being this whole pedophilic monopoly money game on the masses. He tries to keep it on live support. It's all disclosed now, but if it wasn't for Twitter being like it is with all his bots and influencers and all that slop on there, there's a good portion of society that would have changed. Like, even if they're going to win a Darwin Award, I'll speak from a so-called negative standpoint. Like, even if people are going to fall anyway, people like him that try to influence things is really not just unnecessary, but not necessarily parasitic. I mean, he definitely is a parasite in a lot of ways, but he's just a fucking nuisance to any natural process. I've always thought of people like that. Because I can look at things from a pretty elitist perspective myself, because I have seen people go out of their way to create circumstances like this, turn a blind eye to things like this. They never took one day to slow down and analyze any of this. And even when it's at their doorstep, like I said, they're just chilling in the boiling water and eating popcorn as the demons close in, the hellish implications close in and stuff. And I've never participated in that. Not one day in my fucking life have I ever been like that. And that's what's been the most fueling thing for my misanthropic sort of philosophy and stuff. Is just that self-destructive and selective apathetic nature, and people like him with monopoly money think they're the elite, and I definitely am begging to differ with this type of content here that I've been showing. And that's sort of the bigger point than some sort of PSA on like, guys, you're going to hell if you don't snap out of it. No, it's more like I'm being an extension to the disclosure from what I think, it's not just what I think, it's what I know is being illustrated from that channel. They're not just popping up random and showing a lot of this. It corroborates with what I had been making a point of for practically 10 years now, throughout series of campaigns, I guess you call them, and various things I've done on several channels. I guess roughly 3 channels I've had and utilized as not like different faces, but different phases, different things have happened to me personally. It's not really agenda based, and I've adjusted, and I've had different names to the channels and whatnot. And it's not the first time I've closed out my channel, other than having it, what happened to my last one. That had never happened before, but I've scorched earth and deleted my stuff many times, around 4 or 5 times, because of things I needed to reflect on, and I just didn't feel like it was appropriate to just, things I didn't resonate having out in the open while I'm meditating. It's just sort of, I never heard anyone put it that way. When I've seen other people do that in a sense, but that's just how I felt about it. Like, it's, like when you've sort of distance yourself from anything, you might not still wear it on your sleeve so much, but you're still not divorced from it necessarily. That's just how it was for me multiple times. I needed to think about it more. I was too in the dark with what I was doing. I knew I was right pretty much, but these days there's no sort of winging it or sort of there's no guessing or anything. I know what I'm doing, or I wouldn't be saying it or doing it. That's why I'm very careful with my wording about it. It's not just I think or my opinion. No, I know what I'm talking about. I wouldn't show these things like this if it wasn't accurate. And the way this all corroborates, like I was saying, like I was trying to say earlier with things going back from 10 years ago, it dealt with a lot of this stuff that I'm seeing from this Moroccan channel of all places, because you might get the impression from me from my older content on this channel, which is supposed to be not like a joke channel, but it's supposed to be more laid back. I started it when I was very sick. Hadn't played any game in a long time back then, but I had to play a new Evil Dead game that looked really cool, and I was very sick, and that helped me recover just for some reason, like just focusing on chasing people down as a demon helped me recover my mind that was really fractured, and I just felt better after a while of binge playing that. And then more appropriately, I mean more specifically about what you might pick up from me with my reaction to being banned on the private server, which is also a part of my process of trying to heal from that back then. Basically, you know, I realized there was maybe never going to be a pendulum swing in a direction where I could just chill and have a laid-back channel, because all that toxic political stuff would spill over in any escapism. But you might get the impression from back then I was very different from a lot of people, but now that's sort of like a generic thing because it's a trend to be anti-woke, like old school anti-woke. I mean, woke stuff. You call it the woke riot because it's a false flag version of being anti-woke. And it's just their own hive mind around their own narcissistic idols that don't need any introduction or mention. You know who they are, or especially the number one is their golden boy. And it's just funny to have seen, speaking of gamers and stuff, more and more people from, whether they were neutral or even left-leaning, have switched sides in the past year just to get on that bandwagon, and mostly because they've either sold out in another direction, or worst of all, like I've mentioned these bots before, they've been dumb enough to misconstrue that the ratio they might perceive as a popularity someone winning a popularity contest is actually manipulated by bots. Even the comment sections are filled with, you know, fake accounts, whether they're real flesh and blood or bots and stuff. It's hard to tell. They're all the same pretty much. The world may never know if those bots were modeled after, you know, these lame brain right-wing fucks or vice versa. It's hard to tell. And I'm not going to go back on anything that I made a point of back then, or what I was actually experiencing back then and stuff, whether it was a hypocrisy of that private server banning me, or various things I made a point of while I was still very sick then and stuff. Still reigns true But I wouldn't make those same kind of points now. That doesn't make sense. It's not relevant. And these guys, they never come from an authentic place anyways. They just trend hop, and they're just stuck on whatever these influencers are telling them to be outraged about. Just like the woke had people going in all the dead wrong directions. But why I made that disclaimer was, you know, I had been doing this, again, I'll use the word disclosure around this theme of sort of an antithesis to Afrocentric bullshit. If you know what I'm talking about. Okay. And that was something I was starting to see, even being indoctrinated to children in schools after a certain point, and that was something I was very adamant about not seeing happen. And after all that stuff happened in 2020, it's sort of like my worst nightmares came true with all that. So this came from a very personal place. I'm not going to get too much into. I'll just give a few examples on the screen here. This is all my documentation. It's very thorough, and it's all connected, as you see, and it goes very deep. And I started when I was about 18 or 19, and I've been deeply just investigative of the uprising. That was a very small cult. I mean, that was a very small sort of fringe thing for blacks to be into to begin with, but in particular I was dealing with a particular cult, which was just it's a lot to get into. It wasn't just like I was about to say, a carbon copy clone of some older things, but it also, their leader that I've just showed on the screen a few times here, some points about that. That's not just a generic thing. That was a big deal. So even before all this QAnon stuff, I was deep into breaking down something beyond QAnon, and you know, on a real, like, you know, the Stan movie kind of crazy shit with dreams and stuff. And I went through a lot with that, not just some internet back and forth stuff. It affected my life in many different ways. I've went through a lot of things that really no one but myself could understand. And what's ironic about their lies is what I found is there is actually quite a rich white culture underneath a lot of fabrication. But I'm not here to preach about that in this given toxic white climate as it actually is these days. I may have come off throughout a lot of that time to be a white knight for whites, and I was in the respect of, traditionally speaking, in, you know, my own personal experience is that before 2015-ish, no one, just before that woke phase, 2015-ish, you know, because before Trump, before he went up the escalator pretty much, people weren't into politics like that. You just can't argue with me. That just wasn't happening, especially millennials. They weren't into politics like that at all. You know, they were just getting groomed and indoctrinated by the Facebook memetics, you know, like my status masochist stuff, as I called it. That was a pre-woke phase, opened them up to it, because that's when politics became trendy the first time. It's like this is a second wave, as I just made a point of. And I sort of got ahead of myself, forgot what I was going to say initially, but one thing I want to make a point about is, before I get to what I was saying earlier, I'll remember it here in a second. It's a lot to think about, so I got lost for a second there. But that was what I was doing was so particular that the most fringe, blue-haired Antifa type of girl would recoil, at least privately, at least quietly to herself, of this being, let's be blunt about it. Like on my other channel, I've been blunt about some things people don't dare talk about, but me, out of a reaction sense, it's not because I go deep into the trenches to look at this. It's like you can't avoid it online, especially this BNWO level stuff. Now it's just sexualized out in the open, where at that time that was just a fringe little cult, but I knew there was something to that big time, because this is actually affecting people on a supernatural level. And I still can't remember what I was saying initially for that small point there that I was going to make. Important though. But I'm just saying, what happened after the dumb martyrdom of you-know-who in 2020, that hyper acceleration into that direction, I made a lot of points about that before I'm about to say what I know what I was going to say earlier about why I'm hesitant to say this one thing, dealing with the hidden white history, we'll just call it. Aryan, in other words, not like a Nazi. I've never come from that perspective. But what I will generally say before I get to another thing is, if you're superior, you're going to figure out things for yourself. Like whatever is out there for mass consumption, be damned, you will find your way. So people, what I just had a hard time adapting to during the woke era was the idea that that's the thing I was going to say earlier about the whites and my personal experience is like, before people got political around 2015, I never had a bone to pick with white people on a generalized level, like not even coming close to it. I did start to see that with a lot of blacks though, and I don't care who that offends, just because of the things I've seen and experienced. They hate to hear about things happening in their quote-unquote community, but see, they'll always take something as a generalized remark, especially when it has to do with bad behavior. They can't be their own person. Okay, if you're not a criminal or if you don't participate in this, why does it bother you when I say this? They don't have that mentality for that, if they're like that. And I just know what I'm talking about, and I think everybody knows what I'm talking about, and they know that they don't have time for that kind of shit anymore. And that's what I was saying, those George Floyd riots are going to be a precursor, if push come to shove, or if it ever, you're lucky it didn't happen then, for martial law. Or if not, what I was saying from those leftists is that you do want to see a strange, dystopic world where they have free reign to do that every day. And they're basically just a black version of your Golden Boy. Golden Mask. Orange if you prefer. But like this Anunnaki story, gold is way less valuable than orange, so I don't know which one is a bigger insult. This is a fucking clown to me. But I know what it symbolizes. And it's as worthless and generic as a used car salesman gets, that people were groomed by rap music and WWE and this stupid online culture to be sucked into. Because even like the dumbest southerner back in the day, like I'm trying to say in a holistic way, like the dumbest trailer park trash would see through him practically, compared to some of the so-called intellectual people that fall into his I don't know what kind of charm it is. Most people don't listen to him thoroughly. They don't listen, or they just don't really pay attention to him. That's what I've noticed with this Q cult stuff more than anything, is that they look towards what I used to call the Q priest, the influencers. They give him hype. They generate hype around him all the time, and now you see it on these White House Twitter pages and stuff. I mean, not plural, but all the regime Twitter pages, whether it's White House or Department of Labor and all that stuff. They always have to generate hype around him because he'll look like a fucking weirdo if you don't. He'll look like exactly what he is if you don't try to twist it with their AI memes of him and everything else. He's a fat fucking pedophile. And before I get to my final point, I know I've got all over the place, but you get the point about what I was saying with my experience with whites. There's no reason to have that sort of misanthropic condemnation or reservation to speak on certain things, because in that first woke era, before we got into this open romanticization of Nazi stuff, actually, that was so alien to people, or they would perceive it as something racist. Like I had people always looking at me, not always, but many times when I would just say something nuanced or different from their hive-minded perspective, they would think, oh, you're probably a right-winger, and it's like, you don't know what you're talking about. That's not my position. But it's just not even worth it, the stuff that I could get into now. But I stand by what I have done, and it's still there for whoever has a mind for it. These people, the other side of the coin, of course, is it doesn't really matter if a stupid motherfucker sees this too. They're going to be dumb anyway. So it's just, if I had a whole lot of reach as I speak, I would be different with my words, probably. And I've held a lot of people to a pretty big standard that I've seen drop the ball. They're picking it up a lot recently, but with a lot of things they could have, I know they know what's going on, and that they could have, with their reach and their view counts and everything, they could have prevented a lot of things or intercepted a lot of things at this point, but they've let it happen for some reason, and that's all I can say. But a lot has changed pretty recently, and when it comes to the fake elite that they deem themselves with the gold that they serve, then the monopoly money these people are spellbound by. Which, don't get me wrong, you want to have civilization, you need incentive, so you want to play with whatever is shiny to you, or however it is, I guess that's how that has to go, to be fair, to be custodial myself, and not a wannabe dictator, like these fools. You see, anybody that has ever thought about how this world works and the general conception of corruption and everything, you would understand that there's probably people in higher ups that do whatever the fuck they want to do, and they might even be some of these politicians and whatnot that you see on the screen or pretend to be serving you in some capacity. Or, worst of all, take orders. Real people that take orders from them that have a lot of cause and, they make a lot of cause and effect in the world. And that's not hard to figure, but what you do know for sure is there's something that, traditionally in Western civilization, no matter how many people woke up to conspiracy theories or realism, the rule of law and, those standards of how we've respected law were never broken down to the point of the veil, like I was saying about the Wizard of Oz earlier, analogy. It's not just completely torn down to show you that it's all fake, man. And they know they never obstructed justice to the point of, like they have with the Epstein files, to where it's like, what does this law thing mean anymore? Like I said right here. I said that back then with this because that's an ace in the hole, as I've been calling some of the things that I was showing before. Aces in the hole there, because speaking of people letting this happen, it's not just some, I was vague about what I was referring to, but it's all kinds of people with influence that could have been speaking louder a long time ago than they are now, and they feel comfortable about it or whatever it is. But there have been many sorts of people in influence and law enforcement on various levels, and I would dare say not corrupt either. They have a tendency, and I think it's something about him. And this isn't news to anybody, but there's something about him that people have this cognitive distance with, or you might say a bit slippery, but it's like it's really reliant on this cognitive distance. That's his matrix in a nutshell. It's it's what gives him that artificial singularity with these people, and that's what I guess Muskrat is showing here, because it's a trauma-based, cognitive distance-based matrix of zombies. And again, it was one thing when society had that veil there to believe in law and order, because that doesn't mean anything so much when they're obstructing justice with Epstein files and making a mockery of it like I'm showing here. And then at the same time as these Iran protests that they're allegedly supporting, what's happening with these ICE protests. Okay. Speaking of Iran, that's why I've been calling MAGA Islam 2.0, because I think it needs an introduction or disclosure of what I was saying about why you see these mysterious white folk in Morocco, seemingly undead or etheric in some manner, making a statement in various ways, performative ways. There's a lot to get into with that channel, but again, I would take it very seriously, despite some of the more cartoonish characteristics. I mean, I think anyone would take that pretty intimidating, but I've seen it all pretty much at this point. As much as it would take people to, what would you call it, have it coming to God moment or some sort of spiritual moment, when they see something, I mean, you've seen it all now. And I would think AI would be the scariest thing to somebody. Like that South Park episode illustrated pretty good. That one of the last ones I watched anyway. Even some of the dumbest of these fake elite like that should be pretty scared about that, but I guess they think I guess they see him as God here, and he's got a plan for them, because there ain't nothing else looking out for him. I promise you that. You see the set plan here, in other words. And you take it however you want to from me. I don't care. I really don't. One last thing, you know, I am making this, so I mean, there is an incentive. A thing I would really like to say, I should say incentivized to say in a sense, is some of the Da Vinci decodes on my other channel that I have not reiterated in this video as sort of a secondary closing out of this type of content. Something for people that may come across as very curious as to why I would I even went out on a way to black out some stuff myself in regards to some pretty extreme things you would think I would keep up for whatever it's worth. What happened with that had ran its course. And there were two reasons why I had even done that publicly to begin with. One, of course, very personal, and it took a particular personal toll on me in distinction to push me to make it public. It wasn't just some sort of ghetto exhale about something. I would dare say it was collaborative in the composition. If you paid attention to what was going on with that, it's quite a supernatural thing that was occurring. I mean, not to take a pissing contest with this channel with the demons and the mysterious figures and stuff, but I had a hell of a channel myself. Okay. I definitely showed a lot on that channel, and things that I went out of my way to black out myself too, and other places that gave a lot of context that people would think was, just be blunt, historical. That's the gravity and the level of what I had done. And it wasn't merely just a Da Vinci decode of, you know, me simply showing it on the screen and me connecting dots. It had personal symmetry, undeniable personal symmetry. Unlike the Q cult that gets so, or has gotten so invested in those codes and takes all the mental gymnastics in the world and everything to believe in, everything I did had a perfect symmetry. And not just linear, but it's a very artistic rhythm to it, very captivating, and without me even trying to sell anything. It's very natural. But yes, I had to do with something that could concern various people, and since I knew from a spiritual standpoint that that was sort of a announcement publicly to make, I'm making this here as an extension of what I would say to someone that is curious about that. This is sort of an extension of that, and all I would want to primarily address is that your concerns are valid with what I had shown with that red flag. And I'm saying that in a way that you would remember me saying that word over and over again from those older videos. I'm not trying to be cliche by carrying on saying it in this case, because I don't have a reason to do wordplay or it's not a dead horse, and I'm sympathetic for how anyone may still be experiencing that, because it's something that you can unsee. That's the thing that I tapped into, because for some reason people can unsee, even like, I'm not just picking at phantoms, people I don't know, in other words, like, I guess I should have said straw men, some sort of straw man kind of idea of how people react to these things, because I can't say for sure, but I can imagine, just from how I have seen things in person and stuff, even some of these people experiencing the hauntings on these videos, just like this guy that I'll put in the description, he doesn't seem as phased as you would think somebody should be. And that's the most telling. If you're an observer that doesn't have any grip on this, that's the most concerning thing you could ever see, is apathy around something like that. And still willing to pay taxes and act like everything like that's normal, though, you see. Because even though it's on the darker paranormal looking side, the whole fantastical realm is opened up for him, and he takes it for granted, seemingly. He's active a lot in what he does, but I imagine, like with his religion, if you'd even call it that, I'm definitely not Islamic friendly, just so you know. That is literally MAGA 1.0. It's a political pedophilic death cult. It might have some relevant points about some cultural things, but I think you'd be better off going a little bit further back into some real spiritual and philosophical things from those people in that region. And the bottom line here is somewhat adjacent to what I'm not making a point of anymore, and I might re-upload the Lucy Daughter of the Devil video just for fun. I'd have to do that on Rumble or something. Even though I hate using that, because it's, I mean, YouTube's so bad now with the right-wing stuff, but, you know, that's like Russian owned, isn't it, pretty much, or like whatever on Rumble. That's the influencer fuckheads love that stuff. I mean, love that and other sites I don't care to use. But of course, there's less censorship on there. But there's a hint, Lucy Daughter of the Devil. It is somewhat adjacent. I would just say that this is more important. I think you could take my word for it. If you know my other channel, I believe you could take my word for it. If you watch those latter videos especially. This is more on the table. That's something that should be commemorated. You should think about it, without a doubt. This, it's just more relevant. And it clearly is making a distinction of how hell was a premonition, probably for what happened there to begin with. And once the guardrails have been even shattered in these places, in the West in particular, that have not, I know you can argue a lot in the past 10 years with things I've seen too. I know you can't tell me anything about what's happening. I know. I mean, you can't lie to me about anything pretty much with what's happened so much. I know about a lot of the hypocrisy, if not all of it. And with this Epstein file stuff and the increase in the apathy around that topic, or the actual support that you see, making people, whether they were of that persuasion themselves or not, it's becoming a religious thing for them to just adapt to whatever the cult leader is like. So it's much like Islam in that respect. And I'm seeing more of it. And once you've even when you tear down the rest of the fabric of what actually is the last line of defense as a human being when it comes to actual innocence, because you can't really, in all honesty, say another man can judge another man in many ways. I'm speaking from a very, not too occult, but philosophical perspective on that. And I definitely have thought about it enough to say this verifiably. Like, it's pretty hard to do, but I think we've made it work well enough while trying to ignore the idea, and that was just the idea, that you had people in high places pretending to be responsible leadership. But it's being the physical child, not just metaphorically, that you maintain that innocence, mind of a child, or not throwing out the baby with the bathwater of the inexperience of a child, but you get what I mean, the purity. But the physical child, in this respect, is the only thing that's innocent like that, that's irrefutable. And when you have consecrated a cult around negating that principle, that's hell on earth. That's exactly what I was saying towards the end of my channel and the end of my channel. Since about 2 years ago. It was going to start with a video that I never made in August of 2024, excuse me, called The Last Precedent. I talked about that, but I never made it. Ironic name, you might say, but that's exactly what it is. That's the last precedent right there. There might be a pun intended, and we'll have to see if that all plays out the way you think it might. But can you get off this roller coaster ride yourself? Or is it all just predestined like he's flexing about? Because this is what I'm pointing out right here, is that he takes delight in that kind of infinity.